everyone, it's Amy, and this is your Expert Summit week. I'm really excited about this because it is such an easy, simple, inexpensive way to get leads that I think everyone should be doing. I am constantly amazed by how often I give this idea to people and they don't get it. It's crazy. When we started Amy Walker Consulting, I had a list of 0, as many of you do when you start as well, and my list was 0. And the first thing that I did was I did an expert summit, and I reached out to people that I knew that were in my sphere of influence. I didn't have a list, but I had relationship capital. I had people that I knew. So I simply reached out and I said, hey, I want to do this expert summit. It's called New Year, New You. Would you come and train on this and you promote to your people? And I think I had 7 or 8 participants on that first one. Actually, it ran for a week, but one day had 2 trainers. It wasn't that many people. But here's what I'll tell you came from it: 500 leads. Now, you might think 500 leads, that's not a ton, but for me, 500 leads, I went from a list of 0 to 500 in 1 week. And to me, that was extremely powerful. And from there, now I had a list of 500 people, and so I could then do an individual joint venture with someone. And when they said, well, what's your list size? I didn't have to say 0, I don't have a list. I could say, I've just started, but my list is 500. And it gave me something to start with. So expert summits are extremely powerful. There are a few different ways that you can manage an expert summit. I'll tell you the model that most people are using. I'll tell you the model that I use and why. So what most people do when they do an expert summit is they get together about 30 experts. It's a large number of experts. And all of those experts promote to their list, and they get to promote themselves within their video, but they don't share the list. Now, I get invited to participate in these on a regular basis. I say yes if I have time. And I do the minimums of promotion because I know I'm not getting that list. And so I know I'm going to get a trickle in of people being interested in what I do. But I also know that within 30 videos going out over 30 days, there's not a lot of people that are going to be watching my video. So the leader of that summit might get 10,000 leads, but they're also getting a high number of unsubscribes because what happens in the mix is people get overwhelmed by the amount of information and they'll unsubscribe from the list so that they don't have to keep getting, every time they get a video and watch it, they feel guilty about it. And the engagement of that list afterwards is pretty low because they're not super connected. So you can do it that way, and what you'll have is you'll have a higher number of people that come in, but then you'll always have some fall off and attrition. And if your fall off and attrition is enough, it still makes it worth the time and the effort to get the 30 partners, go for it. That's not how we do it. Those summits will take longer to put on than the summits that we do because you got to find and secure 30 partners. You've got to create 30 affiliate links. You've got to manage the babysitting of 30 different people. It's a lot more work, so you would be spacing them out more often throughout the year. It might take you 6 months to put on one of those. What we do is we do smaller expert summits, but we do more involved invested partnerships. So we will probably have in an average expert summit 8 to 10 experts that we're partnering with. In a big one, we'll have 14. And what we're looking at is less partners, but more highly invested partners. And how we get them highly invested is we share the list. And so everyone who has a certain amount of registrations, we give the entire list to them. So this expert summit we're doing in January is going to be 200 leads. If they produce 200 leads, they get the entire list. If normally it's 100, but this time it's just a different ball game. So normally if they get 100 leads, then we'll share the whole list with them. Now here's what we see. Some people show up and they get like 20 leads and we go, oh, that was not a good partnership. And for whatever reason they thought they could do it, we vetted them out, we thought it was good, it wasn't. That's okay, we just let those go. Because you always have that person in there who's like a rock star that will come up with 900 leads. And so the numbers kind of balance out. We update the partners throughout and let them know where their registrations are so they can see how they're doing. We communicate with them We'll have conversations with them, and really it feels like a partnership. And then when it's done, we share the list. Now, some people are nervous about sharing the list. They don't want all of those partners to go to someone else. But here's what I'll tell you. There are very few people that really follow up with those leads. It's sad to say, but even on high levels, it's true. Most of them just want to put them into an autoresponder sequence, and they just want to let it go. But we actually take those leads and we nurture them in autoresponder, and we get on the phone with them, and we do follow-up calls, and we set up appointments so we can establish those relationships. So I don't worry about following up with the leads, because I know exactly one person that actually gets on the phone and calls up with them and follows up besides me. And even with one person, I'm like, hey, go for it. If they like me better, they like me better. If they like you better, they like you better. I don't feel that sense of competition. So expert summits I love because, again, it's a lot of leads in a short period of time, which builds your list faster. Let's talk for a minute about conversion, and we'll go into this a little bit more in a future video, but just as a reminder, we discussed this last week. Expert Summit leads need more nurture than, for example, a joint venture lead, because they're not in purchasing mode during the Expert Summit. And so they're in Expert Summit, they're in information gathering. They're taking notes. They're thinking, who do I like? Who do I resonate with? So they're not ready to purchase at that point. They're what I call a distracted audience, because every day there's a new shiny object in front of them and a new amazing person for them to be inspired by. So they're in shiny object mode. So we're not necessarily looking to sell a lot in the summit. We're looking for sales that are going to come after the summit, and that just requires us being willing to really nurture those leads and to really engage with them over the long haul. We're planting a whole lot of seeds, and we're going to harvest them after a season of nurture. So that's your intro to Expert Summits. Go ahead and check in your next video. Thanks, guys.